Hello, and welcome back to an American watching Australian videos, getting himself some learning done so that he can represent the Americans better on the world stage as being less ignorant than people think Americans are. Show. Today we've got 11 things not to do in Australia. Must see before you go. Because I guarantee I would do all 11 things on this list if it was not for this video. So this is why I need to watch this before I go. All right, let's watch.
Australia is many things. It's a continent that
Okay, guys, I think that's a little loud. Let me do a little technical work. There we go.
makes
Boom.
up the 6th largest country in the world and is home to some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. And no, I'm not just talking about Australians. With a little over 8.5
shots
million
fired.
people visiting each year, tourism is a huge part of Australia's
How
economy.
beautiful that is. Ooh, I always like seeing the cranes working on the skyscrapers.
That being said, there are a number of things to look out for when
Who owns that yacht? Is Jeffrey Bezos in town?
you're there. So let's get right into it.
Sydney Opera House. Yeah, I'm not that dumb.
Number 1, don't stray.
That looked like a freaking battleship right here. Is that a submarine?
Number 1, don't stray from the path. With over 66
Is it a horror movie? Don't go down that road. What do you mean?
different venomous species, which is the 3rd largest concentration in the world, by the way. It's important to know where you are
Who's got
at
the
all
first?
times. Now, this is especially true
Why do these ants have green butts?
if you plan on trekking or camping in the outback, with things like the common brown snake, box jellyfish, and crocodiles. There's no shortage of dangerous animals here, so it's important that you stay on the path when you're exploring. And that goes for warning signs as
I'm not afraid of that. That thing's not gonna. Those two guys aren't gonna hurt me. They'd probably let me into that tree to hide with them if there was some kind of crocodile or angry koala after me.
well. Because while it may seem funny to some people from different countries, here they're very real and should be taken seriously.
Ooh, this makes me cringe. This sign with the kid diving and it says submerged objects. Ow, dude. Marine stingers. Ugh. Is that a wallaby? You guys are learning me some things.
Number 2, don't underestimate the cost. Australia is known for having one of the highest living costs in the world. Underestimate.
Let me see if I can pick out how much that bottle of water costs. I'd be interested in that. Because here in the States, I mean, you can get scalped on a bottle of water outside the
Number 2,
vending machine.
don't underestimate.
Ooh. Does that say $4? $4 for a Coke? Oh my God.
Estimate the cost.
That's bad.
Australia is known for having one of the highest living costs in the world, and traveling there is no different. Now, of course, this is all subjective depending on where you go and where you're from, but it still might surprise you to hear that a beer costs around $9 Australian dollars.
And what's the conversion? Dollars. Oh, wow. Okay. So, okay, got ya. So Australian dollar, I mean, that's really not that. You're telling me 9. That's not that bad. And I guess that $4 Coke would be like, yeah, that's not that bad either. Maybe $2.50 here in the States, but that's really not that bad. $9, $6 beer? Yeah, that's not.
And a meal at a mid-range restaurant costs around $40. Now, all in all, if you're really trying to save money, you
For one person, 40? So that would be like 23, 25 bucks. Ooh.
can get it down to around 100 Australian dollars per day. And I'll just throw that number out there as an average. But between transportation, food, and lodging, the prices can get a bit expensive. So it's important that you price out your trip accordingly. Number 3, and this is a short one. Don't say shrimp
They keep showing this kebab. I want the kebab. Okay, yeah, I'm sold on it. Is that lamb on there? I know you guys are eating lamb. Something about Lamb Day commercials.
on the Barbie. Now, this phrase was popularized by a 1980s ad with Paul Hogan, who was later in Crocodile Dundee, and it was sponsored by the Australian Tourism Commission to try to bring in international travelers. But this is absolutely not what an Australian would say. If they would even use that phrase at all, they would say prawn, not shrimp.
I have a feeling I've heard Australians in these videos say that phrase more than anywhere else I've heard it. So I think you guys use it as like a joke more often. So maybe I think you guys do use that phrase just as a joke, making fun of us.
So don't make it more annoying than it already is.
How about another shrimp on the barbie? Ooh, that's so cool. I need to look up a video about crime. Seeing a city at night just made me think like it looks very safe somehow, you know. I just imagine from what I've heard that it's very safe. So I need to look up that.
Number 4, drinking in Australia. Now for this one, I'm mainly talking about major cities, specifically Sydney. So don't quote me on the rest of the country. But in Sydney, you can't get a beer after 1:30 in the morning because they have something called a lockout law, which means no one is allowed in or out of bars past that point in time.
No one's allowed out of the bar. Okay, buddy. I think that's some BS. No one's allowed out of the bar at 1:30 a.m. All right, guys. Hey, you should have left. Now you're sticking here. You're here for the night. Okay, you're going to have to help us clean up. Go to sleep. You sleep on the floor, and you can leave at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Lockout law, which means no one is allowed in or out of bars past that point in time. And their last call is at 3 in the morning. And of course, don't drink and try and drive.
Why is that a law that you're not allowed in the bar at past 1:30? If they're open till 3, why not just let people in until 3? I'm just trying to think, what's the purpose? Because here in the States, a lot of times you're going from bar to bar to bar to bar. What's the purpose in the bar being like, no, you're just going to have to stay here till 3 and then go home drunk?
Because they have one of the lowest blood alcohol content levels, 0.05. Drive because they have one of the lowest blood alcohol content levels, 0.05, before you can be arrested.
Wow, here it's 0.08. 0.05 is pretty dang low. That would be like, what, 1 beer for some people?
And last but not least, don't order
Beers are
Foster's
us.
beer. That's not an Australian thing, that's an American thing. Instead, try and order a bottle of Bundaberg. My Aussie friends will know why I'm laughing. Number 5, don't underestimate its size. Australia is a country with about 25 million people, and because it's a continent, it's made up of almost 7.
Is there a big skating culture down there in Australia?
Country with about 25 million people, and because it's a continent, it's made up of almost 7.6 million square kilometers. And despite the fact that the majority of its population is clustered around the coasts, in urban areas, it still means that as a tourist, it's going to take a long.
That's because the emus took over the rest of the continent, the rest of the country, don't you know? They control the whole center mass. The people were pushed to the edge.
Long time to get from place to place. So it's important to take a look at exactly how long it's going to take you to complete your itinerary. Number 6, don't always tip. Now, unlike some countries, tipping isn't required in Australia, and that's mainly because their minimum wage is the highest in the world, at around $18 in Australia.
I'm trying to decide if this looked good or bad.
Because their minimum wage is the.
I can't. That either looks. That's probably really good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to settle on that. Looks really good. On a bed of rice.
Highest in the world, at around $18.93 an hour.
$18 on average?
Now, in places like the US, waitstaff require tips to earn a living wage because the national minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Now, if you have great.
And if you're working a waiting job, then they'll pay you like $2.50 an hour, and then you just get tips on top of that. Now, if you don't make on average $7.25 an hour, they have to make up the difference. But point is, yeah, you're working basically just for tips.
Great service, for sure you should tip the person. All I'm saying is you won't be scorned like.
But waiters make a lot of money off their tips, okay? They make a lot of money. Don't let them fool you. They make like as far as like a job that anybody could get. If you come here to the States, go to a restaurant, and the nicer the restaurant you go to, the better. But go to some like middle nice restaurant, steakhouse, become a waiter. You'll be fine.
Like in the US if you don't. Number 7, don't rely on public transport. Now, because Australia is so big and so spread out, public transport is difficult to find outside major cities. It's not like Europe.
That's a lot like the States,
where you can take a train.
We get made fun of a lot for our trashy, horrible public transport. So, hey, does Sydney have like subways?
To a small town, hop off, and then hop onto another train to another small town. Australia's just too big for that to be feasible. So you're better off finding other ways to get around.
As he shows a train.
Number 8, don't talk about immigration. Now forgive me if I have to generalize a bit in order to get the point across. But for the most part, many Australians dislike the way that the government handles immigration. Whether they're anti-immigration, or whether they're disgusted by the way the government handles refugees. Of course.
How do they, I'm ignorant to this subject. How do they do it? What do people not like about it?
Of course, there's all the people in between. But the bottom line is that immigration is a big deal in Australia, and it's easier to avoid the topic.
I'm not avoiding it, okay? My Australian friends, I want to know, what's the deal? Because you guys are an island, so where's all these immigrants coming from?
Number 9, don't take anything personally. Now, Australians always seem to be joking around.
Hey, your mother? Yeah, I slept with her last night. Yeah, you should have seen the face she was making. Yeah. Don't take it personally, okay? That's just the way we talk here in Australia, mate. Now, there's some lines you can't cross, is my point. Don't tell me not to take anything personally. If you say something personal, real personal, now I'll take a joke. In fact, I'll take a joke better than anybody I know. I really don't care. But if you say something about Jace, I'm sure some people in the Jace fan club would have a word to say about you.
Insults are one of the ways that they do that. But don't make the mistake of thinking they mean anything by it.
That's a lot like here in the States, especially if you're like on a sports team in high school and stuff, guys mess around with each other.
There's a funny saying where you know that an Australian doesn't like you if they don't insult you. Because it means that they actually think there's something wrong with you and that it'll offend you. Go figure. So take everything with a grain of salt.
I like that.
Number 10. Don't be afraid to say hello. Australians have a pretty well-deserved reputation for being laid back. And like I was talking about before with the kidding around, they're good at taking things in stride, which makes it easy as a tourist to make friends. And talking to people is a must. Last but not least, number 11. Make sure you enjoy Australia. Australia is such a cool place with so many fun and interesting people. And there's so much to do there. It's important to keep in mind that these are all general guidelines and tips that I find out while I was there.
These guys look like they're having so much fun. I'm just jealous.
Australia is such a cool place with so many fun and interesting.
Look at the size of that fish.
People. And there's so much to do there. It's important to keep in mind that these are all general guidelines and tips that I find out while I was there.
It just looks like an adventure. I want to go on an adventure, okay?
I'm sure
in the outback.
You'll have a fantastic time while you're there.
That'd be a cool way to see Australia from above. I might have to do that. Go skydiving in Australia. Go check out Cal McKinney's channel. This was a great video. Thank you, Cal. And thank you for watching. Hey, subscribe if you want to see some more Australian reactions. Either way, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Happy Arvo, guys. I'm about to go to bed. I hope I see you tomorrow. Goodbye.